How's it going, Planet Earth? Untamed Druid again. Coming at you with number 9. What I'm calling God Man, but also Good Man or Art Man. So, take your choice. So, 9 uh, is the 8 and the 1. Something more than time. So once you can conceptualize the idea of eternity existing or the 8 existing, then even once you're in that mode and you're like, okay, so we just exist eternally, and it's just like you're basically stuck in hell already. What do we do about that? But then you get this, you still have a good feeling. You're like, I mean, not everything's screwed. Like there's good things. I live in the world, and I see things that I desire. There's a compulsion to live. You don't just off yourself. So it just based on that alone. Because the threat is so real, and our imprint on this world is so small. Like, why don't we all just off ourselves? Why are we continuing at all? Once you were asking those questions, you see that there's something more. If there wasn't something more, everybody would be Kurt Cobain. Not to make fun of Kurt Cobain, it's terrible. Don't kill yourself. I am very anti-suicide. I've had lots of friends kill themselves, so I'm not trying to make jokes. It's very serious. I hope watching this can help people not feel pressured into committing suicide, and hopefully leads people towards that perpetual existence where you decide what goes on. So yeah, next is the 7 and the 2. The false king is capable of evil. So even this perfect person that exists in society, whoever, I'm gonna say Ellen, because I always mention men. I'm gonna say Ellen DeGeneres is a perfect example of somebody who's like done everything, and they just lived this, essentially perfect life where they had all this stuff, and they were somebody that everybody knew. Everybody knows her name. Finding Nemo and stuff. She was huge for like 15 years or like 10 years. She was gigantic. But then, she came out, she's actually a bitch. She's really mean to her coworkers. And there were even, whatever conspiracy theories about her, like, selling kids or whatever. But, like, that would hold no ground if she wasn't already being accused of just not being a nice person. So, she can be evil too. She can be a dick too. She can be, just giving people free stuff because that's what she needs to do to maintain her fame. So it kind of points out that, just because you're a 7, just because you're someone who's achieving in the world, it doesn't stop you from being a bad person. And so worldly achievement can't be what determines if something or somebody is a good person. 6 and 3, intuition of the physical. So basically, using your own perception to be aware of the world around you is part of what it's all about. This numerology, it doesn't just pop out and hold your hand and say, hey, we're gonna take a trip to Number Town. Really, you have to use your own understanding that you cultivate by yourself, by reading or researching or doing whatever you're doing. But your intuition has to, you have to really be able to take these ideas from the abstract as they're presented to you. So these are all just abstract concepts, but you need to be able to take something from whatever you're doing, whatever you're researching or looking into. You need to be able to extract something from that and apply it practically to the world, for it to be of any value to you. Even if you're inwardly applying it, that's, you're still part of the world, in that regard. So really, 6 and 3 add up to the 9. So the 9 is essentially, and I'll get to this in a little more in a little bit, but the nine, the good man, the God man, the art man, represents intuition in play in the physical world. But next, 5 and 4, which is man and his elements. So, 9 again, just represents kind of the epitome of man controlling the elements of creation, or women. I should just really stop saying man. Sorry, can't help it. Man, humans being able to people, there we go, people being able to manipulate the elements or having awareness of the elements is indicative of this 9. The thing about numerology and all of the different occult sciences and Kabbalah and all of those different things, alchemy, they can be extrapolated and applied to so many different facets of life that basically I would say that once an individual has awareness of like the 4 distinctions, the 4 Greek distinctions, or whatever whatever elemental system you want to use, once you start incorporating awareness of the world around you, there's nothing stopping you from being a good person except for your own will. And if you have a good will, you're not hurting anybody, sounds good to me. It might not lead exactly to worldly fulfillment. You might not be Moneybags or Scrooge McDuck, but like that's who wants to be Scrooge McDuck. I don't. Man is good. All that he lacks is awareness of his goodness and a society that promotes goodness. And so that awareness of his own goodness is the 6, and the society that promotes goodness is the 3, or the 3 represents that. So finding... Let me think. Okay, I got this thing. I'm going to just read it so it's a little more clear instead of me just jumping around. Finding yourself within constant repetition can be a curse, or it allows variation to be clear. The choice is the individual's, and no one else can make it. God is everything outside of eternity and inside eternity. Thus, your own will, if you can find it, is also of God. Collectivism, or whatever you want to call it, communism, socialism, autocratic rule, it's barely collectivism, but they're doing it too. So I wouldn't say autocracy is collective, but collectivism is the abstraction of the ability of individuals to take care of themselves. So, all right, let me break that down. Go back through. Be a curse or allows variation to be clear. So, yes, if we find ourselves in hell on earth, try to change how you interact with the earth. Try to change how you interact with reality. Instead of, I'm going to look at that spot for 5 seconds again, like I do every day, and then I'm going to get my drink for, because some people have crazy, patterns, crazy repetitious things that they just do because they literally can't help it. They just do the exact same thing every single day. And they expect anything to be, different. And it's like, well, why would it be different? That's the thing about the world. Like, even when it does change, it's not going to change how you want it to. So, yeah. But if you're stuck in the mode of everything being a repetition, then, obviously if something's not the same as it was yesterday and the 1,000 days before that, you're going to be like, hey, that one thing is different. And that really is like the miracle of how this all works, because it just takes that, just that one little change, one day, to really awaken someone to something like this. So, whether it's watching a video like this or, just something happening in somebody's life, just a slight variation that just gives somebody hope. It's all there. Next, the choice is the individual's and no one else can make it. So yeah, it's your choice. And if society is telling you to do something, you're not making a choice. You're just following along with the program. So if you're simply doing what others, I say society, if you're simply doing what your mom, your dad, your spouse, your friends, if you're just doing what another person or another group of people are telling you to do and you have no input into it, you will not be able to listen to yourself. You should not feel positive, or you won't be able to feel positive. It's not that you shouldn't feel positive, it's that positivity diminishes. When you get something that you want, it's just not satisfactory. You get that jacket you wanted, now you want a new jacket and you want some more shoes. The lasting satisfaction comes from you being satisfied by yourself, because you're doing what you want to be doing. You're doing what you believe in, and you believe in what you're doing. God is everything outside of eternity and inside of eternity. Thus, your own will, if you can find it, is also of God. So, essentially, now this is I'm going to get challenges from my, anybody that's Christian or even atheists. I'm just talking about God, so lots of people could challenge it. But basically, the idea is that I accept, God is the energy that exists within everything. And I believe also that solid objects are made up of energy, so that because God is an energy, and because everything's made of energy, it's just hard light. I think that's the Higgs boson particle. Not sure about that second word. Photon? It's probably photon. Higgs, Brigham Higgs photon or something. But yeah, it's hard light, so even solid objects are made of energy because everything's made up of light energy. I'm really giving you a rough overgo of it, but if everything's basically the same, made of basically the same elements, it's just different combinations and different structures and of those elements, then there really is no distinction between anything, and everything is the same, and that sameness is what I would say could be called the God aspect of existence. And I don't necessarily believe in a physical, this realm God, but I don't, I believe that God can kind of do whatever, because this whole world just exists. We just find ourselves in it, and we're like, well, I know all about God, and he's a limited man, and I can tell you all about him. And it's like, well, why would you know anything? Like, where did you come from? Magical mystery person. Like, why do you know all of this stuff about God? Like, ooh, how did you do that? How did you come up with that? Oh, I can't tell you how I know stuff. I'll just tell you what I know, and you just have to listen to me. And it's like, oh, master-slave dynamic. Cool, thanks. So, and then finally, with that collectivism, especially in modern society, like, we have this push towards, everybody needs to be forgiven of their debt, for high school, for college, and, everybody needs free condoms and free tampons. I agree with the tampons, but, and pads. Just this whole idea that, the world's real hard and the government's supposed to take care of us. I think that, as someone who, is aware of the reality of what went on, with, Stalin and Hitler, what went on there was, collectivism was used to funnel power to a single individual, and they're all, most people are going to say, it was a group of people or whatever, but, Hitler had control. He was a socialist, Stalin had control. He's a communist. And they just massacre people, they just wipe them out. And, people buy into it because, the whole idea of collectivism, it's somebody else's responsibility to take care of me. I can't know anything, again, because you limit yourself, because you just do what society tells you to do. You fit into this little box, and once you fit into the box, yeah, you can't do anything because you're not supposed to fit in the box. No actual human being fits into the little box and remains functioning, in the world. So we we repress ourselves and force ourselves into these little shapes, and then because we do that, we're like, I'm unable to take care of myself, and then the government comes in and just does everything that you need it to, and it gives you drugs, and it makes you feel better, even though it doesn't actually answer any of your questions, and even though it doesn't try to heal you, it tries to get you to stop complaining and stop talking so that they can go make money off of other people. To me, that's, if you don't like what we've got going on, if you're complaining about the system that exists around us right now, we've been socialist in America, since the 50s. We've been socialist ever since we, came up with the welfare state and all of that stuff. And it's not that there's bad things. It's not that socialism's purely bad, but it's that the collectivism mentality of, it's not the aspect of taking care of the community that's bad about socialism. It's what comes along with that of, yeah, you should just take care of me because I exist. And if you don't, I'm going to burn down buildings and like do things like that, that people don't really talk about. It's like, yeah, what happens if you don't, get help? You obviously need more help, if you're going to destroy buildings, so if you're not being helped, by the government, and your response is to go burn down buildings, that's probably why they weren't helping you in the first place, and it's not that you don't deserve help. It's that no one that burns down buildings deserves help. If we're going to say that certain people deserve help and other people don't, if you want to get rid of that entirely, then there's no reason to punish anyone for any kind of crime, which I think even more people disagree with. So, yeah, I forget where I was going. But as far as collectivism being an abstraction, it basically takes the idea of like, a farmer farms food, and then it takes the idea of that happening and just assumes that it's going to continue happening regardless of situations. Like the idea that, a farmer farms because that's what a farmer does. The farmer farms. And it's like, that's a very, I'm going to say collectivist, understanding of what a farmer does. And, you could go so far as to say childish if you wanted to. But it really, the idea that people are willingly engaging with the world right now. It's like, go, like the idea that everybody's happy to be alive, everybody's willing to participate, and everybody's, doing what they love, and they're, it's just like, we all know that that's a bunch of bull. Nobody's, not nobody, but many people are sad, depressed. Many people, they've got nothing going on. They don't feel like they're the good man. They don't feel like they're the God man. Or the God person, whatever. So, I think that this collectivism, it's well intentioned and it's on the right track, but it's not acknowledging history. It's not existing within eternity, because it's not acknowledging even the past 100 years. It's not even people that are so far off. Some people are still alive that experienced things that happened. So it's like, to say that it's not true, it's just like, why would anyone listen to you? If you can't have basic trust in somebody, to not lie to you to the point of, you're going to doubt that the Holocaust happened. It's just like, well, I mean, if you're doubting that the Holocaust happened, then, it's just like, there's no reason to take anything at all that you hear from the outside world, like anything at all, seriously. So it's like, go ahead and try to live that life. But as soon as you reference science or reference anything that exists outside of you, it's just like, well, now you don't get to have that opinion anymore unless you want to be inconsistent, which is just another something to look out for. If people aren't being consistent, then, why would I listen to you? You could just come up with any random thing at any random time, and why should you listen to anyone outside of yourself to begin with? If you should listen to people, but you shouldn't let them be the one that decides, your life path and your journey. And this kind of fits more into, different occult stuff and different alchemical wording, but, for, literalist Christians, like, as above, so below. So, literalist Christian, God's in heaven, as above, so below, God's in hell. And if you want to say, hell or heaven can be on earth, then God is in both of those places. God is on earth. God is the earth. And God is the experiencer of the experience of life. So, there's three different aspects that you can view the nine from. You can view the perfection of man as a product of the three, as a product of physical existence. You can view the perfection of man as the intuition that he presents or possesses, or you can see the art man, the art person, the art lady as the person who fully listens to themselves, loves themselves, and believes in themselves, and who is not dismayed when the outside world tells them, no, you're not going to do it that way, you're going to listen to me. Those aren't the people that should be listening right now. And if you've found yourself, or any friends or anybody, if you know anyone who's in a situation where they literally feel like they have no choice, just please send them these videos, because not that I'm the best speaker, but I've found that just people talking about this kind of stuff, me just hearing it, watching different interviews and stuff, talking about these things, admitting that you think alternatively, or you don't bow down to the scientific establishment, and like things like that are it's really taboo, but it's also something that just takes the load off, just knowing that there's other people that exist, that are struggling, that are thinking alternatively, that the normal, whatever, the normal system isn't working out for them. It just penalizes way too much, and there is no joy, there's no laughter, there's no happiness. All those things can be attained, and then you immediately lose them. And if you're sick and tired of that, really owning your own experience is what it's all about, and not allowing your direction to be someone else's direction, and allowing yourself to be by yourself, to not be scared that you just spent the past 6 months not talking to anybody. Not many people are at that point, but the fact that you just spent 2 days not talking to anybody, don't feel bad about that. The only thing you can feel bad about, or should feel bad about, is if you're not doing what you want. And the line I would draw there is, don't, harm people or steal, but not because I'm telling you to, but because those things are logical faux pas. If you steal, someone's going to steal from you. It'll just happen. Or you'll steal too much and you'll get caught eventually. There's just reasons to not steal that you can think of. But I mean, if what your self is telling you to do is steal, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with yourself, but what I'm saying is I'm not gonna defend you if you're doing that stuff. But also, you know, you shouldn't be looking for me or my defense or anybody's defense. You should understand that you should take ownership of all of your actions, and that's the only way that you can actually value taking action. You know, if you just have to do what somebody else is telling you constantly, all the time, every single day of your life, you're going to give up eventually, and you might even break. And if you break, you might end up killing people. And sadly, it's almost unavoidable. And I don't really like getting to this point where I'm just talking about death and blah, 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 but to me that's the reason why I'm making these videos, because, you know, if you are stranded and depressed for long enough, you know, you only have so many options. And, you know, if me putting out a video and one person seeing it, watches it and says, hey, you know, this guy's gotten some stuff, views the world in a way they've never seen it before, and then just takes it from there and becomes this fully fledged, you know, art person, that's all I can ask for. You know, I can't ask for anything else, and I won't ask for anything else. The reason that this means so much to me is that I never really had anybody tell me any of this kind of stuff. You know, I was, you know, for real stuck in the muck, you know, for a long time, very depressed, very sad. And, you know, it's not anybody else's cross to bear, but no one even tried to say anything at all ever. They were just like, well, that's just you right now, and I don't know, who knows, just, you know, just get over it. Like, why are you making such a big deal about yourself? You're such a spoiled, you know. And it's just like, really? Like, I'm a child thinking about killing myself, and you're gonna tell me that I'm spoiled? And, you know, it's just like, even if I am, how is that not encouragement to, you know, potentially have something bad happen? But not to put blame on other people. I need to be responsible for all of my actions. But as a child, you're kind of led to believe that it's okay to blame other people. So, not to get drowned in that, but if you're struggling, if you know someone who's struggling, all my best. You know, I love you as a fellow human being, and, you know, I only want humanity to be lifted up. And I know that we can't avoid being dragged back down, you know, but you know, I would like to think that as close to fully encapsulate myself as possible. I am not perfect, you know, at all, but I would like to believe that I am a fully embodied self. I don't really listen to, you know, anybody. I watch the news, but, you know, me speaking right now is coming from me. No one's telling me to say this. I'm not getting paid by anybody. So just know that your life is special. You are special. And the most joy that you're going to find isn't going to come from anybody else. Even if, you know, it's your parent, your girlfriend, it's not going to come from anybody else. It comes from inside of you, and it shows itself as soon as you stop giving power to those that are trying to control you. And yeah, I guess that's the end of video 9. So if you enjoyed, go ahead and give the like and hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.